And a good day to you, sir. I've been holding that one in for a while. Welcome back to the Far Reaches podcast. We are fully stocked with Reachers this evening. We can all howdy to all the Reacher heads out there in Reacher land. See how many times I can say Far Reaches in the first 30 seconds. Welcome back. This is Rawley, Richard, Joel, and Micah coming to you live from wherever we are, being the far reaches of this great country of ours. However, 3 out of the 4 are on the West Coast. I'm the one Midwest holdout for now, but welcome back. Thank you again. We're here to impart some wisdom, maybe cause some confusion, and certainly share a few opinions along the way and hopefully stir something up in you guys. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you all. Richard sounds like he's got the tuberculosis, not even the Rona. It's worse. Yeah. So we're all good to see everybody. I missed you guys the past few days, so it's good to say howdy and catch up. So thanks again to everybody for listening or watching on YouTube or listening in all your places you can get podcasts, wherever they may be. So let's start with our weekly update. Who wants to go first? Let's do this a little. Anybody want to raise their hand and jump in?
Joel does.
Outstanding. Joel, take it away. What's your weekly update, good sir?
Well, we went to big news of the week was that we went to Sun River.
Yeah.
Went down there on Wednesday evening. Got back yesterday. It's a good weekend. We got a couple rounds of golf in, built a fort, floated down to the chutes, painted some ceramics.
Ooh.
I made a cow in honor of Rawley and Richard. It has really pretty neon green spots, and it's nice. Blue. But you've never seen a cow like that before.
Not a healthy one.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It's quite the spectrum of activities, from hanging around the hacienda to golf to floating the river.
That's what happens when you hang out with women and children.
Ah, yes. Again, the ceramics was a nice capper.
Ceramics and floating and stuff.
Great golf there, though. I've had some great times at that golf course in all sorts of crazy weather.
That's why I'm wearing this hat. So Jess and I beat Brian and Jennifer.
Oh, that had to
hurt. In a skins match.
Yeah. That had to scuff.
So I won a hat.
A well-deserved hat. Never let him have that. Yeah. Well done, sir. Well done. Wow. Gosh, good luck. Man, you should have GoPro'd that. That'd have been some pay-per-view shit right there.
Yeah.
Stomping on Big Daddy. So outstanding.
Someday I want to. Oh, go ahead.
Carry on, Richard. Jump on in. Let it fly.
Someday I want to meet the marketing guy that came up with Bend and let's build a bunch of condos here amongst the lava and the juniper trees, and we'll make $1 billion. It'll be awesome.
Sometimes people will come from all over the world. Enough to work. Yeah.
I heard they're putting in a waste management facility up there.
At Sun River?
Yeah, it's a reference to the great outdoors when he looks out over the lake.
Oh, yeah. What I see the untapped resources of northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. Yeah. And if the time is right, yeah. Oh, that's too good. Rawls, you want to give us your weekly hoedown?
Sure. Yeah, we're paying.
That's all I have to say about that. Yeah.
It's like you really alternate weeks. You got paying, branding, calving.
It's all Ing.
Branding, calving. I think I'm getting the hang of this
it's
farm
the Ing
work.
Ranch. Yeah, no offense, Sean Ing, but yeah, everything you do is pretty much got an Ing to it. So
no, it started off good, and then we had the weather we're having right now got forecasted here in the beginning of last week, so we quit cutting and kind of waited on the dry and mowed, got everything baled up that we had down before the weather hit. So we're just waiting for this to end right now. It looks like we've gotten a little over 2.2 1/10 inch.
Rawley's outlook. He's going to look out the window and tell you what the weather is.
Oh, well, our little electronic forecast deal sitting up here. We got 2.1 inches, excuse me. So,
wow.
And that's in
how long?
About 36 hours.
Oh, wow.
So
How do you know that? Do you have like a
He's got a weather
Well,
center.
measuring cup out there or something
well, yeah, well,
that you're looking at?
so
You gotta have a little. I was just gonna say, like, one of the rancher's best friends, besides the weather app, is the little weather gauge, rain gauge. However, it goes from like real plain to kind of fancy. So,
yeah, this one's got it tells you the current wind speed and the whole 9 yards and barometric pressure. It actually does a layout of data for you. It'll tell you how much rain you've had over the last month or year, whatever program you want to use. So,
pretty.
Plenty of rain here in the last, like I said, 36 hours, and we're supposed to get some more tonight. So, but that's kind of what's going on around here. We're just waiting for it to dry out so we can start hanging again.
I remember growing up when I was a little turd. My granddad had the weather thing on the wall, had the temperature and the barometer, and maybe dew point or something else. And like every evening before he went to bed, he would check the barometer and set it, because you had where it was, then you had a dial you could set to where it was before. And so that was like the big thing on him predicting the weather the next day. It's where the barometer was at then, and when he got up in the morning, because if it's dropping, that's when the storm's coming in. So it's one of my early memories of every evening. Yeah, that was the pre-sleep routine of checking the barometer.
Yeah, it's
Second.
kind of the community, at least the haying community. There this time of year, you revolve around the forecast. And I had a phone call this morning about 6 o'clock. What in the world was your neighbor doing? He still got hay down. Did you read the forecast?
Exactly. I have to shame him now. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It's just kind of a way of life, really. I mean, everything you do is, when they get right down to it, it revolve around the weather. So
make or break. Yeah. Did you have a question, Joel, or a comment?
I was gonna say, back in my 20s, I went on a lot of first dates, and one of the stories I would kind of lead with is that I used to record the weather for the National Weather Service when I worked at the experiment station, and I'd send that into them every morning.
Oh yeah.
So I got to the station and I'd measure water and evaporation and snowfall, which was always 0 because it was summer.
Yeah,
it was pretty easy. Sometimes I just made it up. I just put 0. I didn't even look.
You have that weird form that you had to fax in, or was it online?
No, I entered it into a database.
I mean,
I look up the high of the day and the low and what all that stuff, and put probably 30 different data points.
Yeah,
it took me about an hour and a half every morning. I enjoyed that because I didn't have to. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I used to do that at the Union Experiment Station. Sometimes I'd fill in for my buddy John, and it was like it was a fax form that you'd fill in different data points at that time, and then you'd fax it to the U.S. Weather Service, and then it went in a big binder. It was like a really weird form you had to fill out that it would I must have been read by some weird scanner, but yeah, fax that in every morning. You sure should. Yeah.
What is the purpose of a fax machine? What a stupid machine. My entire life, I've never found a need.
Well, obviously not. You've had email your entire life, most likely, but yeah.
Yeah, but like even at work, that you still have to like scan your receipts if you like travel. You have to scan them and then fax them to a number. Like, why can't I just email these assholes?
Well, yeah, like scan them with your phone and email them. That's redonk. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody's got job security. So that was a nice little segment. Richard, what's going on in the world?
This week I did real estate exam.
Woo!
Super exciting. No, doing my hours.
Oh,
when I did my hours in Nevada, I just took the test at the end of the hours. I was supposed to do I think Nevada's 90 hours of studying, but you can really just take the test and pass, and then they give you a certificate. But in the People's Great State of Oregon, you have to log every single hour, 150 hours in front of the computer. So a 30-minute module takes me about 2 hours to get through. So then I spend the next 28 hours every 15 minutes updating the thing so that I can burn my hours off. So that was my week last week.
Working the bejesus out of it. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then the highlight, I got my 150 hours and started a new module. It was 30 hours. And I still have one more to go. So I think I'm going to be into this. Oh, and even though I've done the 150 hours, I still have to do all 30 hours of the last two modules. So I'm really hoping the very last module is like 15 hours, or I'm going to lose it. So,
and this will allow you to do, what can you do with a real estate license? You can
sell real estate.
I mean, how does that work? You just say, hey, Micah, I want to sell your house for you.
Oftentimes.
Put it on the internet, get somebody to come to me, and they fill out the paperwork.
It's a lot of paperwork. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of prep. Depends on what you're showing. If you're selling a ranch versus a house. But yeah, it's you're licensed to guide people through that process. You make 5 to 6% of the sale. Depending, obviously, the much larger sales, you're probably going to get a little bit less, but on average.
As a realtor, Richard, you have to know about Regulation X and Regulation Z.
And why?
The Truth in Lending Act and the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, and getting a certain number of appraisals.
You have to have a basic cursory understanding of it, but really when it comes to loans, you can direct people towards people that do loans, but you cannot really interject into that. Like, other thing in real estate that's really iffy is you can do comparisons, but you can't do appraisals. And
you can,
you can suggest inspectors, but you can't give your opinion on any part of a house. Like, tell somebody that, it's no problem, I'll just fix that. That's no. So,
is it your job to give them the disclosures and all? I just remember, like, looking into this process through those regulations, there's a lot of disclosures. So they have, like, the Dodd-Frank Act came out, and they integrated the disclosures between.
As a seller, I had to fill out the disclosure. Was part of my role. Yeah.
Oh,
was that part of the disclosure? Then I imagine escrow's got a ton of paperwork that the real estate agent doesn't do.
Nope.
So.
No,
really,
the guide to all the different points along the way is kind of how I look at it, with the appraisal and the inspection and the mortgage and the title company and all that crap. Not to mention the finding houses and kind of like hoping you sell yours or finding the next one. How to guide through that process.
I really just look at it as like a sales job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
relationship management.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think that if you do commercial real estate, there's a lot more to it. I did commercial real estate in Nevada for a second, and the level of intensity at commercial real estate firms, like I had to interview to become a broker there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit different level of sales, but the stuff that I gleaned while I was there, I think is going to be invaluable, and I don't have to have that Glen Ross. What is it? Winner gets a Cadillac, second place gets steak knives, third place gets fired.
Yeah. God, I love that movie. Coffee is for closers, Richard.
I always think of that scene and think, who could yell at Don Lemon?
Jack Lemmon, you mean?
Jack Lemmon, yeah.
My God, Don Lemon, jeez.
Because the other one, there's a long freaking list. Yeah. I would like to yell at him, put the coffee down, though. Yeah.
And then today, Dad, I went and got a bowl. It was do a little bowl swapping. Dad came out and gave me a hand, so that was fun.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
My wife was gone, so I was lacking in direction, but luckily he was able to pull up the slack. So
oh shit, I almost broke the chair. Oh my God. Yeah, you need like a little sign on there. I'm not being directed at the moment, please help. Yeah.
Yeah. If he would have been there, then I'd have had to rely on Mom, and not only would I have had direction, I would just felt bad about it. So
there you go. So you got that going for you. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, good week. Gotta tear into the real estate tomorrow. I'm hoping by Friday after next, I'll be a fully licensed broker.
Wow. Outstanding.
I'm looking forward to the 2-hour test with the face mask. That ought to really piss me off.
That'll motivate you. Yeah, you'll have to go Serenity now many, many times. Yeah.
You've got a lot of careers. What are you going to do for your fourth job? What's
He's got nothing.
Real estate be a go.
Real estate, teacher, and cow rancher. That's
Yeah.
All right.
The American way. Rolling Stone gathers no moss. Moss. Get it? Yeah. Outstanding. Yeah, that's awesome, Richard. Keep us posted for sure. Best of luck on your sanity. And just to see where you go. And you can maybe even trade barbs back and forth with Mr. Marshall, who's the new king of high desert realty in the Burns area. So.
Oh, yeah. We've been already trading notes.
Oh, outstanding. That's cool. We'll have to get that Yahoo on here sometime. That'd be an interesting insight into whatever. Yeah. So, weekly update for me. A lot of good work. Working on some market analysis and some boring comparisons like that and some product interest. But my mornings and evenings have been packing the house, pulling some ninja moves on my see how far I can break items down and still put them back together, hopefully. So, like, I have a really big Amish, like, handmade dining set. Probably knows. He helped me move that sumbitch a couple of times with a bunch of tables, and it's a huge table. And so I got deciphering on that thing and looking at it and busted out my flashlight and the cordless drill. And, well, it's basically just a stack of boards right now. So you probably almost put it in the backseat of the pickup. So it has been fully prepped for move. So as long as I remember how to put it all back together, we'll see. I might have a really expensive pallet when I get to Florida, but for right now, I think I'm pretty excited about that. So that, and finally had the right timing and location and everything to find me a nice trailer to move my beloved materials to Loretta with. So I picked that up over the weekend and amazed my neighbors with my driving capabilities of backing it in the driveway on the first try and not running over any sprinklers. That was going to be my best thing of the week, but I had to get it out now. That backed it in and didn't smash any sprinkler heads. So there's a ginormous trailer in my driveway, and people are getting the hint that this crazy bastard's getting out of here. So between that and work, it's been pretty awesome. It's been sweltering, humid as hell, evil. So it's been, I guess, prepping me for what's to come later on. So, yeehaw.
It's not getting better where you're going.
No, it's not. I think this is just like the warm up, literally. Yeah. So. Yeah. You're like, damn it, I'm still in Nebraska. It's supposed to be at least a little cooler, but evil. Yeah. Like, I'm sure there's people that got all their fireworks in the garage for this coming weekend. They're probably all saturated and sponged out. But around here, 4th of July is pure insanity. I can't describe it. It's people will have 4x8 sheet of plywood on sawhorses. Their entire driveway will be full in the garage. Like, it's a whole. They must spend $3,000 to $5,000 pretty easy. Like, and it'll start 4th of July and go through the entire weekend. Like, it is insane. I've never been in a neighborhood that goes this apeshit for fireworks and 4th of July than I have around here. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like the first year I was like, sweet Lord, how many days is this going to go on? It's like, but yeah, you'll go out the next day and like there's literally an entire driveway, 2-car garage driveway, solid with blown up fireworks and like good stuff too. Like when we used to go see at Lakeview, the fireworks show, pretty much that, the entire neighborhood. So it's pretty cool in that regard, but it's odd that that's like the thing they do in this neighborhood. So
spending 10% of their annual income on fireworks
easily. Yeah. I just like, holy buckets, man. Like, it's insane. I can't.
I guess it's better than tithing it. Right?
They're giving to the god of fireworks, I guess, Joel. But yeah.
Imagine how bad
see
it'll
the
be.
effects.
Imagine how good it'll be this year with no sports outlet. There's a
There's
lot
that.
of pin up.
Yes, there's a lot of that, I'm sure. Because even like during football season, I'm fairly close to the stadium. Like I can hear the game sometimes. I can definitely hear the fireworks go off every once in a while when they score a touchdown. Fireworks get set off, and you can tell also in the neighborhood because everybody sets off their own fireworks again too. So, like, damn, I still got some left over from the 4th. I missed a case, so. Yeah, it's quite entertaining. So reminds me of the 4th of July golf tournament at the club. We used to blow shit up all day long at that place too. The 150-yard marker to take the cap off and drop big old mortars and bottle rockets down there. It was pretty fun. But no.
Talking to other people, I feel like.
What's that, Joel?
As I talking to other people, I feel like my most controversial opinion is that I just don't really like fireworks. Never liked them. Not impressed by them. Does anybody else feel that way? Or
No, if you got the right ones.
you guys all like them. Okay.
Yeah, we used to get a catalog when I was little. I get it back in my day, and it had everything you could think of. Like, and we would buy those by the pound, like M80s, M1000s, and that was like the fun throughout the year, just blowing shit up. And then those kind of went away. We discovered sparkler bombs, which I'm sure Rawley knows about sparkler bombs. I know that, yeah. So I think if you just got a sparkler and some smoke, yeah, screw that. But if you're in fear of losing digits and knocking trees over and small animals, fish, fireworks pretty cool. Yeah. You like blowing?
We always had to make our own. We had to make our own powerful fireworks.
A little experimenting. Did you like tape several?
Yeah,
together?
you take all the sauce out of the Whistling Pete.
Oh.
And put it into like a 30-30 shell with and about 2 inches of duct tape around it. Makes a pretty powerful weapon.
Okay. See, if you have like just beats and some sparky stuff, it's kind of craptacular. But when you can get shit and you can blow stuff up physically, or tape 2 or 3 together and throw in the lake and fish come up, or we used to put them in the slingshot. Like you had to really trust your buddy. But I'd pull the slingshot back with the M80, he'd light it, and I'd let it go. Cool shit like that, or bottle rocket fights in the park. These are the things that make fireworks fun. America, yes. Yeah, and that was like a year-round deal. And let's see, got them all.
I got Rawley riled up a little.
Look at him, he's just like, oh, you don't know shit,
bomb making.
You're making more of a weapon than a firework.
Exactly. Which certainly has merit in the place also. Yeah. So.
No.
This will get flagged.
Oh, yeah.
Not the first time, I'm sure.
I got, we had an incident at ag class in high school. We were supposed to be planting trees and the Crooked Creek, I believe. And I had a bunch of, I think at the time, it was M60s, maybe M80s. So we would tape a couple, 3 together. And, we're supposed to be planting willow trees and doing reclamation. And so we'd dig the hole. I'd light them, throw them in the hole, and we'd throw a willow tree in there real quick and tap some dirt on it. And we'd run like hell. And, like, you'd shoot those trees like 100 feet up in the air, My ag teacher, poor Mr. Porter. What the hell's going on over there? Oh, it must be the water table shooting those trees right out of the ground, Bob. My ass. And Mr. Kahn was the district range conservationist at the time. And so we got in trouble that day. Needless to say, we were blowing fish up and shooting trees out of the ground. And I couldn't go on any more sponsored ag trips. It cost me the trip to the nationals for welding and a whole bunch of stuff. But it was worth it at the time. And then, it's like 6 or 7 years later in college, we come home and we're hanging out at Kahn's house, drinking whiskey and telling stories. And Kahn's dad goes, "Hey, were you ever in FFA and all that stuff, Mike?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, for sure. Sure were." And it's like, matter of fact, you might remember us from this little incident at Crooked Creek. And he's like, "Oh, my God, you were the ones blowing trees and shit up with Bob, weren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." Because that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, I wish you would have said something to Bob. I got banned from ag trips the rest of my life. But looking back, though, yeah, it's worth it. Yeah. So, Mr. Kahn, sorry. Bob, thanks for the excuses. But, yeah, we were.
Thanks to Micah's class. our class had to have 2 chaperones for every child.
Yeah, the field trip suddenly got much larger. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to take an extra bus.
Oh man, yeah. There's about 6 months of podcast just talking about the shit we pulled in ag class, no doubt. But that's one of my favorites is blowing the trees up and some fish, and then finding out 5 years later, at least maybe longer, that the range con thought that was the funniest damn thing I'd ever seen. So our ag teacher, not so much, because looking back, it's probably pretty embarrassing. But after class is supposed to be, conserving, and you're blowing shit up. But that's what led me into the world of natural resource management, though, Joel. So yeah.
Were you wearing your dorky little FFA coat when you're doing this?
No, it wasn't that an official one. It was it wasn't an FFA trip. It was ag class, but I still got banned from basically any other field trips ever. So, including
welding, nationals for welding.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I was badass. Like gas and MIG and ARC. Yeah. So step back, brother. Yeah.
Doesn't have the same pull on women as like the McDonald's All-American.
Not quite,
team,
but it depends. Sort of like on vacation. Does everybody know you're a hog farmer? Yeah, it's pretty cool. So back in the day, campaign welder. Yeah, that. Yeah.
You haven't been to the national convention yet.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all about that.
You want to see Rockstar hang out with the beef judging team?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Where do they host? Where do they host that FFA Nationals?
Is it still Indy?
Oh, it's exciting.
I think it's Louisville now.
Oh, it is. Okay. I think yeah. That's the whole Blue Coat convention. Yeah. So. Wow, that was a good sidetrack. What the hell happened there? Damn it, Joel. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's somewhere really fun by the time Richard gets there. It'll probably be in Reno.
That'd be something
Going
stupid.
to the Nationals. Woo!
Sacramento. Yay! Yeah.
Dude, Pendleton should lobby for that.
Absolutely. The convention center. Yeah. Liquor balls.
Yeah.
I think they've had the state there several times, but the national would be, yeah, that was.
The Nationals, when I went, was 47,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's all volunteer, probably, like Roundup. If they had events like that every day of the year, nobody would earn a living. Everybody would just be volunteering 100% of the time.
I think there's some staff positions with National FFA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there is a lot of volunteers and a shit ton of chaperones, as we've discussed already. Wouldn't that be a great name for a band? Hi, we're a shit ton of chaperones, and we're going to rock your world.
People at Roundup complaining, I got to go down and work and put up the fences or whatever they do. I don't know what they do at Roundup. Put up a lot of fences, I imagine.
A lot of little jobs.
But they're complaining about it. I'm like, dude, you're volunteering. You don't have to do this. You can stop.
Or ask for another job. Yeah, but you don't want to.
I don't care if you get a free ticket and $7 paper dollars for the swim team hamburger.
You get to have that cool pass, and yeah.
Hey, you work 12 hours today and you got to play the nachos? Awesome.
And
Keep going, Joel.
Filthy animal. Yeah.
How many years do you have to work to get the belt buckle?
36, probably.
You don't?
I'm not going to make it easy for you.
I don't think you get a belt buckle. You get
director.
a pin or something, yeah.
Only if you become a director.
Yeah.
You get the buckle.
Imagine volunteering for 30 years and you never get to be director.
Happens all the time, dude.
I think my dad's got 50-some years, and they finally gave him what they call a gold card. But if you've got enough volunteer service, then you can have a special permission slip to go wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You should get to be director or something.
Yeah, one would think. I don't think we want to go down this rat hole today, but yeah. pull up, yeah.
Facilities or something, maybe.
Oh shit! Let's talk about movies, shall we? Yeah.
I do have to say the pinnacle of becoming the president of the Lake County Rodeo is your job is to ride around the arena and pick up people's hats.
Oh, that's good. You know you've made it in. Yeah.
It's not that much different for Pendleton.
No, it's not. So, Joel, tell us about your movie this week. He says as they change the subject.
The movie was the 1988 hit. Well, it wasn't a hit classic. It was actually not a good movie, but it's a classic.
Yes.
Called The Great Outdoors, written and produced by John Hughes.
Yes, a lot of weight there.
Made several real big movies, right? Like Pretty in Pink and did he make Home Alone?
Yeah. Yeah, he was involved.
16 Candles.
Yeah.
Yep. All the 80s hits.
A lot of them.
This was widely considered to be one of his worst endeavors, but it's become a hit. I was looking it up on Wikipedia, and they remade it in 2007 with Kevin Hart. But he does a lot of movies that nobody ever hears about. But
I had not heard that. Same.
Yeah, me either.
Wow. Now
it stars John Candy, who came to fame from SNL and died in 1994. And Dan Aykroyd, who is still alive, who has really interesting theories on UFOs. Have you ever heard him speak on interviews?
Yeah.
Have you heard him?
Oh yeah, it's tied to his vodka and everything. Yeah, he's
he's like written books about UFO encounters. So it's the story of this family goes to the great outdoors in Wisconsin to get away from city life and connect with his family. And then John Candy's brother-in-law shows up. He's a rich guy from Chicago. Shows up to ruin it.
Unannounced.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Unannounced.
That's just gonna shit when we get there. Yeah.
And then just a lot of antics after that.
Antics.
When you talk about the brother-in-law coming in, all I hear is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, if you watch it enough.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because like when John Candy and the family driving up there in the Jeep Wagoneer, yakety yak, don't talk back, and they're all, and then it's like the Mercedes and like somber, and the creepy kids, and it's a Chet and Roman, right? Roman is Dan Aykroyd, and Chet is it's like
my first thought when I saw Aykroyd show up is, wow, he's on a lot of coke.
Probably so, yeah. Which in real life and fit his character really well too. The shady trader dude. Hey, have you got about 15 minutes and $25,000? Hello, yeah. It's but it's like two opposite ends of the spectrum, which I think I really liked about it is everybody can relate. I think to like you got that one part of the family, and then you got the other guy that's like the complete opposite, and they always end up at the same gathering, and it's just hilarious.
Especially in the era that movie was made. Like, it totally takes you back to the mid '80s.
Completely. Yeah.
The characters were so 1985.
I love the old crazy bastard behind the counter, when they check in,
I wouldn't drink the water.
Hates people, loves porcupines.
You could get the shit from the water, but what was that? Yeah. Let me shut the frig up. Yeah, for prompt service, blow me. There's the old horn up there.
What do you say about his dog? What do you say about his dog?
Oh,
people that loves porcupines.
Yeah.
It's just she's in heat right now.
And he's in heat. Or she's in heat. Yeah.
What's the worst thing that? Well, you could get the shit from the well water, but what was that? Nothing. Yeah. So they rent this huge cabin, and that's where I think from John Candy said like that's where him and his dad used to go or something. Is why he wanted to take the family back to it, but. Even when they first get there, they like have this great overhead shot, and they all open the door on the Wagoneer, and they all entry. You're just like, it's gonna be that kind of trip,
I didn't notice it. Brian had to point it out to me, but when he talks to the front desk guy and he walks over real quick and he goes, "Hey, what's the bear dump situation?"
Oh yeah.
Or the bear dump or dump bear? The dump bear situation.
I think it's the bear dump. Yeah.
Like I don't. Brian was laughing. I was like, I don't get it. He's like, the bear's in the dump. I'm like,
Zagnut. Yeah, like, oh,
bear dump.
Every time that movie, it reminds me of Wallowa Lake right over the hill from the house here.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's they've got the same kind of a
Dude, totally.
arcade, miniature golf and all the pilgrims.
Go-karts and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had not put that together.
Yeah.
You're spot on, dude. That's hilarious.
The friendly wildlife, you can walk up and pet the deer.
Portland pilgrims.
The raccoons tipping over your trash cans all the time. Yeah. No. I think that's just one of the funniest damn movies I've ever seen. And I've seen it numerous times. So many funny parts for sure.
I was thinking about that when I watched it at the theater. I remember as a kid laughing so hard, but then I don't think I remember laughing that hard at a movie until The Hangover.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially the water skiing scene.
Oh my God.
Like the first time you see that.
Drop the rope, man. Just drop the rope. Yeah. You bastard. Oh, go faster. Okay. Yeah. So what's the name of that boat? Suck My Wake. I think that's what's called.
Kick-ass drag boat.
Check boat. Sorry, Dad. Yeah. Yeah, he wants to get the pontoon boat. No, you take the pontoon boat out and you barbecue from it and you swim and you dive and it's nice, quiet. You want that? You want scraping the bugs off your teeth from a jet boat. Jet boat, Dad. Sorry, Dad. Yeah.
I think my favorite part of that movie, though, was after Chet told the bear story, the scary story about the bear.
Yeah.
And then Roman goes into Sarah and Clara's room or whatever, the little twin creepy redheaded daughters. He walks in, he's like, "Good evening."
Just thought I'd like to impart a little wisdom
about Uncle Chet's story because he's an authority figure and you might be a little scared. It reminds me of the story about my Uncle Ray told me about escaped convicts.
Yeah, from the inside of everyone.
Happened upon a family and they ate them.
Because nobody does that matter of fact, like just talking like on an executive level BS, like Ackroyd.
Yeah,
always
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Richard, you're looking much better than before. He's on the mute. Yeah, he comes in there to calm him down and ends up just frightening the crap out of him. Like they don't sleep like all night long. Community of inmates or whatever happened upon him, slayed him, ate him. Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah, he's in the bathroom and why don't my kids look at me like Chet's do?
Scratching his.
They look like me. They look at me like I'm a rack of yard tools at Sears.
That's why
Dan Aykroyd is so good at that type of humor.
He's the best.
He hasn't done anything for so long.
He's got that big old mobile phone. He's like, I put a cork in it, honey. I'm on the phone here, and he's talking to the priest or whatever. It's like, hey, you got about 7 minutes, $20,000. I got hello, yeah. He hung up on me. It's like, and then you find out it's his priest. Like, what the crap? I'm up here in God's country, Jerry. Oh, yeah. Lips and assholes. One of my favorite scenes when he's talking about hot dogs versus lobster. You know what hot dogs are made of? Lips and assholes. Yes. Oh.
It's one of these movies that aren't highly regarded at the time. Just become cult classics.
Yeah.
Like, do you think Tremors was highly regarded when that came out? It doesn't seem like it would be, but that's one of the best movies ever made.
They have like 9 of them, don't they? I've only seen it like maybe once. I really can't tell you about Tremors, but yeah.
Yeah, Tremors good.
God, it's
a new one's coming out with Kevin Bacon.
Really?
Yep.
God.
What's it called? Palsy? Jesus. Yeah.
That'll be the first movie I go to. I'm going to commit right now. The first movie I go to when movie theaters open again is going to be Tremors 10, starring Kevin Bacon.
The new Awakening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to go see the new Top Gun if I'm going to go watch a new movie, I guess.
Shit, yeah. I'll have to do that one. So I'll revise that, whichever one comes out first.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Good structure. But yeah, they have their ups and downs. A lot of funny. The water ski moment's freaking hilarious. He drags him all over the damn lake, and stunt skiing the whole entire time. picking splinters out of my ass. Yeah. Turns out Roman's just trying to hustle Chat for money because they're flat broke. And so they have a little reckoning, and everybody comes back together. But then there's the big bear, which is one of my favorite scenes too. And the bear's chasing him, and he comes blasting through the door. And he's like, "Big bear, big." She's making sandwiches. Oh, yeah, I'll make you a big sandwich then. You know. The bear kicks the door in and just starts stomping the shit out of him. I think that part almost hurt me when he's just like, yeah, poor Bart the bear that gets his ass blasted off again. So, yeah, quality movie, Mr. Joel. Killed me laughing again at it and thinking about it, and just remembering, like Richard said, how much I laughed the first time I seen it. And then my brother and I used to watch it all the time and just die laughing because of all the so many different parts. The old 96er steak is another great one, you know. He's just like, there's still, just nothing on the fat and gristle. And he's just like, I'm like, oh, please, God, don't make me eat all this.
If I can get the gristle down, you think you can throw in another t-shirt or something?
Yeah. You guys have driven through Amarillo, haven't you? Most of
What's that? Yeah.
No.
Through Amarillo. I want to say somewhere on the billboards as we're driving through Amarillo, there was something similar to the giant steak you could stop and eat that nobody ever could. And every time I drive through Amarillo, for some reason, I think of the Great Outdoors.
The old 96er. Oh, yeah, that's it. The old guy they're celebrating their birthday for is dead, you know. They're climbing all over him. Yeah, the look on his face, though, he's like, they're still fat and gristle. Oh, and he's just clawing at him like, oh, please, God, don't make me eat it. It just slays me every time. Oh, yeah, that reference.
My other thought was how many movies that John Candy was able to save just by his
totally.
Yeah. Uncle Buck.
So many people came. Yeah. They came to him when they paired up with him, like when they were almost out, and like he helped them resurrect their career, and just he was he was sort of one of a kind. It, like, his sincere moments were so amazing.
Like tremendous actor. Yeah, I think almost everything he did. Canadian Bacon was kind of weak. It was okay. Wagons East was pretty funny. That was an interesting concept. Like, screw this, we're getting the hell out of here and going back home.
That was his last movie, and
I think so. Yeah.
Then Chris Farley's last movie was also some sort of like a
Almost Famous
fake western, like that.
Almost Famous, but yeah, was that what it's called? Almost Famous.
Almost
Heroes. Almost
Westford Ho. Yeah.
No.
Or is it Almost Heroes?
Yeah, Almost Heroes.
Those two are
Yeah.
very similar.
But they were both like kind of the same movie.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. My favorite John Candy scene was one in Uncle Buck when he goes and gives the teacher hell.
Oh, and here's a quarter. Another rat gnaw that thing off your face. Yeah.
But I'd have to say my favorite movie with him is Brewster's Million with Richard Pryor.
Oh, he's the catcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've not seen that for ages. He does a pretty good job on that. Yeah. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of my favorite with him.
He's the only one who can play that Martin opposite Steve Martin.
Yeah.
What was the military movie he was in?
Stripes.
Yeah, Stripes. That's a
Dewey Oxburger. Yeah, they call me Ox. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Stripes.
And I don't think he was ever in Saturday Night Live.
He was SC Second City, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Aykroyd was SNL, but I think Second City was John Candy.
And Rick Moranis
started there, yeah.
And then Gil Radner.
Mm-hmm. But she went to SNL later on, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just listening to Marty Short and Levy, Eugene Levy. They were both on SCTV too. That's where they got their start.
There's a lot of Canadians on that. Yeah.
Was Steve Martin on it?
Chevy Chase did both.
I don't remember. I wasn't prepared for this part of the conversation. Not that I never prepared for any of them, but yeah. I'm trying to remember. John Candy was doing another movie at the same time with John Hughes, I think, when they did Great Outdoors, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember which. It might have been Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, a lot of good for damn sure. Yeah, one of my favorite movies. Uncle Buck's up there too, for sure. The big.
Let me make a drink.
You make a drink? Okay. We will talk amongst ourselves. Yeah, here's a topic. It's what we call a training timeout in the military. Yeah, like, whoa, I got to go get ready for this. I got to think about this exercise before I move forward, sir. Training timeout. Oh, should have thought about that. Yeah. Out of.
I know I'm forgetting other good John Candy movies. I just can't remember what they are.
Well, I really hadn't thought about him in Stripes, but yeah, he does a lot in Stripes, which kind of jarred my mind. But there was some ones he started out like he was in actual Vacation, he was the security guard. That was a really funny role too. At Wally World. Sorry, folks, park's closed.
Yeah, I was going to say Wally World, and then also he had a very serious scene in Home Alone, also with John Hughes, right?
Yep. And he was in Splash.
Splash? Oh, he was. Yeah. I forgot
And
that.
then I think one of the best movies he was in is talked about was Cool Running.
Yeah, the Jamaican bobsled team. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that movie.
He played that one pretty straight.
That's one of my favorites. Who's Harry Cohn? When he's like the clueless detective working on the kidnapping case. Have you seen that?
Nope.
No, I haven't seen that. Oh, Harvey Mudd.
Harvey Mudd, I don't remember that one.
I have seen that one.
Yeah, Harry Crumb is a pretty damn funny movie too. He's he's so inept it's almost like comical, but like it's some things he like pulls it off. It's so funny. Drives everybody apeshit around him. Yeah, Mr. Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off is in that as well. So obviously Mr. Rooney, but that's what he's ever known as for me. So it's
supposedly he was in JFK. I don't even remember that.
You got me there. Yeah. Wow. So
I didn't know he and Kevin were tight.
I don't think Kevin knew that either. Yes.
I missed his cameo in Dances with Wolves too.
Yeah, Square Dances with Lemmings. Yeah. Oh. Well, any final thoughts on Great Outdoors before we wander on to our next segment?
Nope.
Brilliant. Yeah. So no, I think Joel was a great movie. Several fronts. You know, it reminded me of how funny it was when I first saw it. It's a insight into the family. You know, where you always have that rich sort of. Everybody thinks that one uncle's well off, and usually they're not. You know, this is the funny part about it, and there's always this injection of two completely different lives when they come together at any kind of family gathering, and so it always adds to the extra tension at the family gathering with having all those just, oh, you want hot dogs? No, we're gonna get lobster. You know, like just completely like, oh, just shut the hell up. That's why it's only once a year when I see you. So yeah. Anyways, great movie. I'm glad you picked it, and excited about get a chance to talk about it a bit more. So.
We should get back to rating movies. We haven't done that for a while.
You were supposed to come up with a rating program for it.
Well, we'll do it out of 10. I'll give that one I'll give it a 7.
A solid 7?
Yeah.
I'll write that. I think I'm going to write that down and annotate it so we can talk about it later. Rawls, what would you rate that at?
An 8.
An 8. Richard?
6-ish.
Say?
A 6-ish.
A 6?
Yeah.
To quote Spicoli, you dick. I'm going to give it a 7.5. Yeah. Made me laugh quite a bit. Good to watch multiple times. Yeah. So we have started. I guess we're all assuming this is on a 1 to 10 scale, by the way.
Yeah.
Talking about John Candy made me realize one of the most latest tragedies that Disney has put upon the world.
What Disney killed him? What?
No, Disney somehow ended up with the rights to Splash.
Oh.
And edited out Daryl Hannah's ass.
Oh. That's a weird thing to do.
Oh.
So unless you have the VHS, you'll never see that again.
Damn it, Bobby. That's just not right.
That should be memorialized for all of time.
That ass should be bronze and hung on a wall somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like the big penis they have in The Little Mermaid. They got edited out.
Yeah.
You can still see it on the VHS, like the original VHS. There's
like the flowers that spell sex in The Lion King. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Hidden gems. Yeah. Those perverted animators.
Perverts at Disney.
Yeah. They're out there everywhere. Yeah. So,
but Daryl's Hannah's ass will not stand.
You got to say it like Mayor Quimby in The Simpsons. Yeah. Joe, are you ready for word of the week, or do you need some moments to comprise yourself?
Yeah, I came up with a word because I saw it again today, used incorrectly.
Ooh.
So it's a very common word that they always use wrong, and it's interesting. I'll just tell you the word, and we'll talk about it.
Sure.
Factoid.
Factoid. Outstanding.
Right. Without Googling it.
Yes.
Rawley, what does it mean?
A piece of information that has to do with a fact.
Okay. Good guess. Richard?
Well, I always thought it was just like a clever way to say, here's a little bit of trivia for you.
Right. What do you think, Micah?
I think it's got some truth to it, but not always. And that's why it's called like the oid part of it. It's maybe like almost to the point of a common misconception, I think.
Right. So a factoid is it's something that's presented as truth so frequently, but it's an incorrect truth, but it's presented as a fact so frequently that it becomes a factoid. It's incorrect. And it's funny that I think factoid itself is a factoid.
Correct.
People have repeated it as a factoid, as a piece of truth or a small piece of trivia for so long. The word now means that.
It's because the root word of fact would throw a lot of people off. Yeah. But I remember discussing this with Dr. Obermiller in school. That's why I sort of roundabout got there. But yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, so like a good example is women earn 73 cents or something on the dollar as a man. That's a factoid. Mm-hmm. It's been repeated so often, everybody thinks it's true. It's not true. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
No, it's factoid.
That's
and that's the time when they got canceled. It was a great run.
That's what done him in. No, you're right. That's a great example too, though. Of those things that are said so often. It usually has a stat tied in it. You're like, oh yeah. There we go. And in this society, it's even more prevalent because it gets spread around 10 times as fast on the media of the social type as it ever did before, when it was just mostly word of mouth or random.
Peaceful protester is a new factoid that you're going to
It's mostly peaceful, I think, is the term that they've switched to lately. If you're walking by somebody's house on private property, you're still mostly peaceful. Just saying.
Yeah, like 55% of them are peaceful. Look at them.
Yeah, so that's mostly peaceful. Come on. Yeah.
They just couldn't find a brick to throw themselves.
Yeah.
So they had to film. They're all filming.
We're encouraging them to work from home now, actually. So, yeah. Outstanding word, Mr. Joel. Very topical. How was it used? Do you know remember how it was used incorrectly? You said you saw it recently in that manner.
Yeah, well, you see it in every article you read now about either like COVID or the protests. They always throw in like a line in there that's still up for debate, but they've bypassed any semblance of debate on that. Now they're just saying this is a fact. This is what happened.
Yeah,
that's that over the last few years. That's become my main problem with the news media, and why I sort of think started shifting away from more of a liberal Democrat point of view. Started going right. I started seeing more truth in what the people on the right were saying about fake news, for example. And that's my opinion on fake news. It's like, we're going to debate this topic. So the one everybody's heard about is the wage gap.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time debating that, and there was a lot of pushback. Like, that's not true. Look at the facts. And they're like, shut up. It's true. And now every time it's mentioned in an article, it's presented as a fact. Like, we just accept that, and then they base their entire story off this incorrect premise
to tell the story that they want to point out.
Yeah, so that's where I got. Still this day, it just frustrates me to no end.
Oh,
that sort of shit.
Absolutely.
I thought of one that bugs me: the suicide rate amongst farmers. It was miscalculated. Then somebody went back and corrected it, but nobody has ever gone back and used the corrected numbers.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that initial tweet, but now that's the case of where that gets 300,000 likes and retweets, and then it's wrong, and then the correction gets like 300 retweets. Yeah, with COVID, I saw somebody said that it's really hard to trust anybody when 3 weeks ago they were saying put on a mask, stay home, don't go out in public. 2 weeks ago, we support these protests, and now this week they're really kicking up the notch on put masks on, stay inside, we're canceling 4th of July. That's annoying.
Like the factoid that Fucci's a competent doctor.
Fauci?
Yeah.
You call him Mr. Fucci? Yeah.
Yeah, he lost all his credibility for sure.
Yeah, it's self-perpetuating.
Or Joe Biden has all his mental capacity.
Man, yeah, that's sad. I mean, I'm a pretty conservative individual, but I feel sad for that guy. Like, seriously, like whoever's running him out there ought to be kicked in the head. Like, that's just cruel and unusual punishment, But one thing I got to bring up real quick too about what Joel was talking about, like where it perpetuates its own life, and it usually these days, unfortunately, comes from Twitter and this whole current situation we're digging through. But and this is not really related to this subject, but I just want to talk about it. This is the tweet that our esteemed and lovely AOC put up and had to take down shortly thereafter about encouraging all the governors to keep all the lockdown and everything shut down until after the election. Because
She said that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Few closed businesses and lost jobs as long as we get rid of Trump.
What?
Yeah, she tweeted it out, and then took it down a while later, but it got stomped around everywhere. I was like, well, at least she's open about what the plan is, but I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
She doesn't get to go to any more secret meetings. She's out.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't understand what we're supposed to talk about inside versus outside. Yeah, like, so then you tie that in with everything else, and you're like, half people believe it and half people don't. And unfortunately, the ones that are on the don't side are looked at, with such disdain because it's a differing opinion, which we're seeing everywhere for everything. That's the irony too of the whole situation, as we've discussed numerous times. I think just how ridiculous a lot of that is, but. When that's the point of view, it kind of makes you scratch your head. Like, if you say it enough times, it becomes true. And don't remember what we said a week ago. I think that's the other thing too, is the memory of people is getting shorter and shorter every day. even though we have the tools like never before to go back and see what people have said and done. Yeah. Unless you said something off color 9 years ago, now they're going to stretch your balls out over the water and nail them to something. But if it's something idiotic that we said as a country 2 weeks ago, ignore that. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly, Rawls. But
I haven't seen Rawley tweet in a while.
yeah, he's his handle is no tweet Rawls. That's his handle even. Yeah. So it was.
Have you ever even considered getting a Twitter, Rawley? You don't have Twitter, do you?
No.
He's shaking no, folks.
I can't look at it for more than 30 seconds, and when I do, it just enrages me. Yeah.
Raleigh had an anniversary, though, didn't you? Happy anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. We sat out on the. It was actually a really nice evening, and we've been doing some hay and working. So we got home early and sat out and had some pizza and some drinks and lit a fire in the fire pit and relaxed for an evening. That was our anniversary.
Outstanding.
That was last month's pizza of the month.
Absolutely. Well,
probably next month.
No. Made it simple.
They gave you 12 frozen pizzas to put in your freezer? Or do you get them fresh each time?
Yeah. Embers makes awesome pizza.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What does?
Embers in the restaurant. That's Embers Brew House, downtown Joseph. Stop by for all your pizza and brew needs.
Mm-hmm. Good people there. Well, where are we at after the word of the week?
Well, I was going to zip back to, we actually have some intellectual discussion as well I wanted to talk about. It does tie into all this rest of the stuff too. And again, since I got a subscription to Wall Street Journal, that's where most of the articles come from. This one I find extremely interesting, though, given some recent activity. But the title of the article is, I like how Raleigh asked about it, then he hauls ass. India bans TikTok and dozens of other Chinese apps after border clash. And this is by Rajesh Roy and Sean Lee. And so basically India banned dozens of Chinese mobile apps, including widely used TikTok and WeChat, after a border clash between troops from the two countries left 20 Indian soldiers dead this month. So I thought it interesting that they would focus on those apps. I know I've been paying much more attention to who owns these apps as well. And if anybody sends me TikTok, I usually don't watch it just because of who owns it and where it comes from. And I just don't know what they're doing with all that stuff. There's no such thing as free. And so I thought it interesting because of who owns it, but I also think of the clash between India and China is quite interesting as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so yeah, this has come up a lot lately. It seems like with these Chinese-owned apps. Like, did you see the one where it ages you?
No.
Like you take a picture of yourself and it'll show what you're going to look like in 40 years or something.
Interesting.
It's pretty good. I mean, it looks very realistic. But that was another Chinese app, and the suspicion is that they'll use it for facial recognition. But then, like, we already have assholes right here in America that are doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, Instagram's owned by Facebook, but yeah, they're doing that same thing. I don't trust them either.
I don't.
But them still doing it.
But I trust the Chinese less. I'll just say that out loud. Yeah. So, when most of our phones are opened by our face now, I don't think I'd be doing what am I going to look like in 80 years app. So.
Yeah,
I canceled Reddit today, before they went and canceled a whole bunch of people that weren't even active on the site, and I really sort of enjoyed it, but yeah, BS. So I've been using Twitter a lot because of the protests, because it's the only thing where you can actually see what's going on live, because so many people are like recording it and directly feeding it. So
yeah, I'll give you that. It just angers me when I see it on there. But you're right. That's probably the purest place, I guess you could say. Which, good Lord, what's that say about everything going on?
Yeah, the TikTok thing's sort of with what can record and where it sends the stuff, and then Zoom, this app
Mm-hmm.
is a little questionable, but I think they moved most of the North America stuff to North American servers now, so they
Yeah,
responded.
I think that was a huge concern when it first started popping up and everybody started using it for sure. I know we're just scratching the surface. God, I'm sure we're all fully digitized and cloned and whatever else you could think of already, just because of this FaceTime, selfies out the ass, everything, So I'm sure a ship's already sailed, but there's no need to make it any easier, I guess. And it just makes you stop and wonder, like, hey, there's this new cool thing. It's free. I get to do it. Is it really free? Like, nobody just gives shit away because they're benevolent. They're getting something on the backside, no doubt. So I think I would just remind people to think about that a bit more and what we're allowing to do all that. And, and it also ties in also with the fact that how much, I guess, sanitization or watchdogging is going on most social media as well. So, sometimes we're going to think like, yeah, this is what's going on. No, it's pretty washed. So
I think they can actually contribute something intelligent for once.
It'd be nice.
As a compliance professional, I've organized experts to come in and speak to us, and I've drafted training on the subject. Not specifically on biometrics, but privacy. But so the facial recognition and fingerprint software and all that stuff it's called biometrics. And the compliance community keeps really close tabs on regulating the data that can be collected and the data that can be stored. So when you're like opening up your bank account with your facial recognition software, the bank isn't actually keeping, or they never even touch any of that data. It's on your phone. Apple also does not do that. They don't retain any of it. They claim that it goes into the Netherlands, right? Like nowhere. It goes nowhere. I don't know how much I believe that though. Somebody's keeping that somewhere. And then it's going to become a bigger problem. I brought in these people from this company, and they do biometric identification. So our driver's licenses will pretty soon be digitized. So you'll have your driver's license on your cell phone instead of a physical card. And then that presents a whole set of it's your entire identity is now a piece of digital equipment.
Yeah. And nothing's ever fully safe, I don't think. Eventually, it can be hacked.
No, it's pretty good stuff though. Like even if you go under like facial reconstruction surgery, the facial recognition stuff takes so many different data points, and it stores it all as just raw data, not like a picture of you, but measurements between features and all that. So even if you were to undergo like a sex change operation, you look completely different to our naked eye. The software will still recognize you.
The Griffin system in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Measures the distance between your pupils.
And
it used to just be a book that they would send out. Probably the most sophisticated face recognition system in the United States. I think the government would love to have it, but the casinos can recognize anybody through any type of disguise and have been able to do it for the last decade.
Yeah.
Now they have one that can recognize you by your gait. So, but I did read some good news. John McAfee is going to be dropping his Ghost network shortly. And I don't know how long it'll Ghost. So I don't know how long it'll take him to crack it, but he seems pretty sure that it'll mask all your cell phone activity from the people that are normally collecting all that data as soon as you tie into it.
So when you say anal bleaching like 9 times in a row, then you won't get that showing up on your Instagram.
Right.
I mean, as a theory.
Isn't John McAfee kind of his whole thing's a scam, isn't he? Does he live in some like remote island with no law enforcement?
They can't find him.
Right. Yeah.
I trust.
Like if they found him, they'd arrest him for fraud. I think.
There's multiple nations looking to find McAfee and arrest him, and they have not been able to locate him for 3 years. And he's been able to get this whole nother company started, and it's going to put it into production pretty soon. So that has got to piss a bunch of people off.
I kind of have to admire that. You know, it's like when you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you get the 4 or 5 stars and you're like, I'm just going to go for it now. You know, I'm not holding back. I'm just going completely ape shit off the grid and do whatever I want because I went past the point of no return. So why not?
But his Verizon still uses his software for their antivirus. So does Microsoft. There must have some competent people at McAfee that are still running it.
Yeah.
So, but that's interesting. And he did a lot of sort of pioneering work on psychedelics. I think that Peter Thiel's new company is going to be using heavily. So, yeah, for somebody that they wanted to get off the face of the earth, he's sure hanging around a lot.
And he was like on like Dateline or Unsolved Mysteries or something. Was he involved with a murder or something?
Oh
weird?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Sure.
Copious amounts of drugs, murders, trafficking. It's I guess he's not the hero that we need. He's the hero we deserve.
That's not a T-shirt already. It sure should be. Yeah. I heard it before, but it really struck me as extra funny today. Yeah. So, holy shnikes. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, there's a lot of depth there. So, yeah, I think that was. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in that world, in the TikTok world, and the different apps and social media as a whole. It's only just beginning too about what we're seeing, and you have to think there's some other platforms that will be trying to emerge that will present themselves as truly open source, if you will, or like completely open to all opinions and statements and comments, I guess. Which when those all started, that was kind of the thought we had, and then they've been policed and sanitized to a huge degree. Which I find disturbing. It's their priority. It's their deal. But I think if they're going to start doing that some, that sort of changes their status also. But that's a whole different podcast. So now that was, I think, a great intellectual moments by all. Congratulations. Well done. So
I have one last technical nerdy thing to talk about.
Yeah. Harumph.
BlackBerry will probably be the security operating system that runs all electronic cars.
Damn it. I mean, interesting.
So,
yeah.
Is it still owned by RIM? Is it still RIM? R-I-M?
No, they changed the name to BlackBerry. I had one of the last BlackBerry phones, and it had their security on it. And never did my phone record anything that I typed or talked about. It wasn't until I switched to Samsung that I started seeing things in my search queries or advertisements on stuff that I'd either typed or been talking about.
Yeah.
But BlackBerry, the phone no longer exists, but the operating system and the safe security systems that they've been developing over the last decade are highly integrated into most electronic self-automated vehicles and very heavily in the Internet of Things.
Well, if they made a phone like the iPhone but was based on BlackBerry technology, I'd be pretty happy camper.
Yeah, unfortunately, they pulled the plug on that in April. No more BlackBerry phones.
Well, I hated the little, but still, I like that technology. I just don't like way it's delivered, which is often the problem with technology. So we have one piece of reader mail. It's from Rich in Minnesota. It says, hey, Gene Hackman or John Wayne movies. Specific Gene Hackman movie we requested we talk about sometime would be Mississippi Burning. But all Gene Hackman movies, and then it said, oh, always good to hear more John Wayne too. So I thought that was interesting feedback. He had been listening back to some of the archives. So I think that's, I find a lot of people are running about 3 to 5 episodes behind, which is interesting. It's like slowly just keeps translating along. And I'm like, hey, rock and roll, whatever keeps you caught up and entertained. I think we're still one of the number one driving podcasts that I've heard of. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I had a semi LinkedIn internet celebrity say that he listens to our podcast.
Oh, wow.
Sort of blew my mind.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
You never know. It just kind of creeps and oozes throughout and intertwines itself. Yes, so to speak. So, shall we go to one of my favorite segments? Oh, holy crap. Just got an instant reader email from, of all, you're never going to guess, Richard, this blew my mind, who just Facebooked, or actually texted me. This is from Kevin Kahn.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know we were live.
I
think you're required by law to disclose that to us.
This may be recorded. Yeah. How do you know we're not live?
I didn't know we were live.
Started. Like, watching the 15th podcast, y'all read The Streets of Laredo. So, yeah, we're just talking about people that come out of the woodwork. I've not got a text from Kevin Kahn in 5 years. So, yeah. Anyways.
Of course, he read all of those books in high school.
I was going to say 3rd grade, probably. Yeah. So,
yeah.
But are we live? That is still hurting my brain, Joel.
Wait, I still don't know. Are we or are we not?
What do you mean, are we live? No, we were all recorded. And what does that even mean?
You can record live events. This is live right now. We're live.
We're live, but we're recording it. So when somebody else watches it later, it's going to be recorded. But right now, it's live.
Well, what I'm saying is some people, you can set things up where you can stream stuff live now.
Oh,
you got to have
streaming live. No, we're not streaming live.
You have to have 1,000 subscriptions on YouTube to stream live.
Yeah, we're not streaming live.
No.
We're recording live as opposed to recorded. But no, this isn't going out live right now. No. That's why I was like, what in the hell are you talking about? Of course we're live. But
yeah. We're recording on a 5-second delay over here.
I was like, no, we're not streaming, as you would say. Yeah. It's been so long since he texted me, he just had to say, it's Kevin. Yeah, I know. I still have your name. That's how funny that is. So speaking of random people listening, like I never thought Kevin would listen to our ramblings. So anyways, let's go to one of our final segments of the week all the time. And what we learned, this could be, I like it because it's so random, because some people put way too much pressure on themselves. Rawley, tell me, my good sir, if you'd like to share something that you've learned, either through this podcast or the past time since we spoke last.
Good God. What I've learned. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
That's fine. We'll skip up to Mr. Joel. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that Netflix documentary about the Rajneeshis?
Oh, yeah.
What was that called? Southern Country?
Wild Country.
Wild Country. So that whole thing took place in this town called Antelope, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched a documentary, and all these locals were trying to protect their town. Like, we have a beautiful town. Keep these crazy out. So I went to Bend, Sun River this weekend, and we took a little detour in order to go through Antelope. Mm-hmm. Antelope is a shitty little town. There's literally nothing there. The Rajneeshis made it better, probably.
Oh.
What are they protecting? Like, I couldn't even find a store to go in. There wasn't even a store to stop at. It was like, here's a rundown school that actually it probably does still operate.
So this is going to be Joel's last podcast.
Yeah, I was wrong. This is the one. This is where we get canceled.
Not us. I think it's a targeted attack.
Well, convince me why that's a town that needed to be saved.
Well, because
there's nothing there.
Well, there's things on the outside you didn't see, I'm guessing. There's a lot of great ranches around there. It was their community, for one. That was the main thing. It's like, this is where we live, and you're coming in and tipping it upside down. And
well, they should take a little more pride in their community, because
it was in the 80s. I think it looked significantly
one thing, yeah,
different
it's
back
40 years ago for one.
Two, so they had a lot of time to make improvements. And they never
more
did.
Numbers of people, more than that were there locally. Like, they played the system.
Yeah, we know people that went to school there during that whole thing. So
we know people that still live there. That's why I'm concerned about your safety.
Yes.
They went to that little green school. It's like I don't know. It's a gymnasium, really.
Well, now you're starting to bash my school and Micah's school.
Yeah, I mean, it's all you had when you were growing up. You didn't know anything else. That was it. Your whole life, man. So
you're missing, Joel. I mean, you go into most of these rural communities in Eastern Oregon and Washington, Idaho, for that matter. The 1980s were at the beginning of the environmental movement, and they were thriving towns. I mean, they had the logging industry was strong, the ranching industry was strong, and most of these ranchers supported several families. And you had a very prideful existence. And if you look back at what the Rajneesh people did and the way they tried to bring in their communal type of environment and then go around poisoning places in the Dalles and all the local areas of Wasco County and whatnot, it was a big deal, and it was on national headlines. And that in that era, it was a really big deal in the United States. Compared to now, it seems pretty trivial, because you go to these dried up communities now and they don't have much going on, and they've been red taped to pieces with all the governance coming down from the state level. It doesn't seem like as big a deal now, but it was.
All right. I stand corrected.
Well, I mean, it was. I appreciate you saying that, though, because
I said make an argument otherwise, and he did.
No, it was a great perspective, though.
And that was a great documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Very well told, I thought. But yeah, it's that whole community, and a lot of communities like that have changed a tremendous amount in the past 30 years, no doubt. So, if not longer.
Yeah, I was being a bit facetious, but going through the town, I guess what I was saying is that I was expecting really to see more of like a Heppner type of a vibe or something.
For sure.
There's literally nothing there. There wasn't a store on the whole street.
Is there anything left of Kinzu? There was an actual community of Kinzu, and I don't think there's anything there now since the logging industry is gone.
Well, the Kinzu mill, the mill in Heppner, owned by Kinzu?
Yeah, but there was actually a town called Kinzu towards Fossil.
Oh, really?
And it was a thriving place for the mill and whatnot. I don't think there's anything left anymore. It's completely gone.
I don't think so.
Is Heppner or Pilot Rock, is that still Kinzu? I don't even know if Kinzu is a company anymore.
I don't think so. I might be getting corrected, but I don't think Kinzu has any mills left.
Not think so.
And the interesting thing is those people are doing it again. They've built another community.
Oh, really?
The Rajneeshis?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. They are doing it again. And they're So I would say probably in the next 4 to 5 years we'll be experiencing them again.
Well, at this point, it's a welcome distraction.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. I didn't learn a fucking thing.
No, you did.
That was awesome.
I mean, that's what this shit's all about. Is like you're willing to say that kind of stuff, and we're like, hey, well, here's what's going on, and here's why we think this. So, that's freaking perfect, man. I applaud that. So, thank you.
I'll try and remember the documentary show I watched it on. It's pretty fascinating to know what happened in Oregon, and then to see them trying it again in another community, and you can see the same types of stresses on the local community that they picked this time again.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, they have a, I don't know, what is it, in India or somewhere, there is a compound that's been there since. It's kind of their home base. I forget what country it's in, but I'm pretty certain that it's
Is it India?
I don't know, Bangladesh, in India, somewhere that region. There is a home base for them. So,
Interesting. Rawls, are you ready to impart what you've learned?
Yeah, I actually am. Joel brought it up with talking about Netflix and watching, and you guys brought up the last podcast about Alone.
Yeah.
The series, and I flipped onto it and started watching it. And of course, you guys know me pretty well to know that that's kind of intriguing, and it was fun to, like, you could pick out who was going to win it right away, but it was definitely fun to watch and something that I would find enjoyable.
Yes.
To go experience. That looked like something that would be an interesting challenge, especially this day, the culture and era we live in of convenience. That is a truer version of Survivor.
100%. Yeah.
Not much that I learned as far as anything pertinent to life. It was a learning experience for me to watch how other people adapt and their theories and ways of thinking come into play. It was interesting, everybody's different perspective and take on how to survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that really interesting. Just the study on how people approach where they are, their priorities, how they respond, just their thought process, really, and where they go, how they adapt to what they have in front of them, and how what really became apparent too is how comfortable they are with themselves, and both by being alone with your thoughts, which can drive some people apeshit, but also who they are and what they can do. I found that very interesting.
The mental toughness on some of them was either very good or lacking.
Yeah.
And it was, we live in a world of everybody has different beliefs, and it was interesting to me to watch how emotional people got when they took an animal for their own survival, and
Mm-hmm.
how that was a big deal. They had to have their moment with that animal before they could eat it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun to watch stuff. So
yeah, there's
Rawley stole mine. I was going to talk about Alone too, because I powered through that whole thing since last episode too.
Yeah.
And,
again, I think it's a great series. I hope they get some more of them put on there, because that's like the 5th or 6th season, I think.
6th season.
Yeah. So I need to track down the other ones. I'd be really interested to see.
Yeah, that Jordan guy that won it, though, I think he's probably the best guy that's ever been on there. He was really impressive what he knows.
He spent a lot of winters, so he spent some time in Russia with some nomadic people. Hanging out with a reindeer.
Siberia.
Yeah. And like wandered across country on railroad cars with his brother when they were like 18, That's kind of been his life. But I still think too that if that one dude's freaking shelter hadn't burned down, he was probably going to give him a pretty serious run for his money.
Yeah, he was pretty squared away with his ability to sustain and get the sustenance that he needed. But there was some of them, they talked a big story when they came in there and they were the survival experts and yada yada, and it fell apart pretty quick for him.
Yeah. But, yeah, like that one guy broke his leg on day 2 or whatever, maybe even sooner. Yeah.
Embarrassing.
The one guy from Colorado, he didn't have the skills to necessarily survive when it came to providing for himself.
Oh, but he was mentally.
Yeah, he was strong, but there towards the end, boy, he started breaking down awful easily mentally and having pretty big emotional attacks.
Yeah,
and it's a unique perspective on how the human mind works. I thought it was a really not from an experimental point, but just to show the mental strength of different sectors of society and how they get through things.
Yeah, I think part of it is too, like, we don't, on average, we don't push ourselves near to the limit that we're all capable of on anything. I think, not to compare, working at home in my office versus that. Just like maximizing your day though, or making the most of what you do from that regard, or just your mental toughness to block out whatever. I think on many fronts, we lag if we don't have to.
It was a reminder to me that we really don't know how good we have it. I mean,
well, there's that too. Yeah.
Talking about not eating for 9 days and you're hoping that you catch a squirrel.
Yeah.
I feel like some of those moments might be kind of good for a lot of our society. But.
That and that's what's really got me. I try to take, and I'm continuing to do more and more too, of just unplugging and just thinking. Like if it's for a walk, if it's just, even I find just closing my eyes and like not paying attention to anything for like just 10 minutes, like really the cool stuff I get to work through in my brain that I'm not, usually I have like 2 computers going or 2 screens, a TV, radio, texting, Instagram. There's like 19 things hitting me in the face every day at the same time, on average. If you just stop it all and like just take like 5 minutes or 10 minutes just to let your brain go somewhere, really cool.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to me because I've had a couple experiences in my life where I've lived extremely remote and by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit there and think about how a lot of our society would view what those people are going through and not really have a complete understanding of. I mean, I never went without per se, but some of the things that you would experience just being alone, I could relate to, and I thought it was pretty interesting to watch them go through it, and it was interesting for me because the whole time my curiosity is, what would somebody from here be thinking, or this sector of our society, how are they going to view what these people are going through? I mean, it's completely, most of it's got to be completely foreign,
Yeah.
What do you do? How long have you been alone, Rawley? Have you been up there for like 2 weeks at a time or something?
Oh yeah. No, when I was in Nevada, I lived at a place that was the only place out in the valley, and I was out there for about 6 months, and then
what do you do? Just read a lot or something?
No, I mean, I was working on a ranch, so I had a job to do, but you spend a great deal of your time alone. And then on another place I worked, I lived in a little cabin and just spent all my time literally in a little shack that was covered in pack rats.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself.
You do. Yeah. I spent 2 summers where I camped out every single night. I would come to civilization or work on the ranch during the day, but every night I'd go camp again. And sometimes I wouldn't see people till noon on the ranch. And then weekends, sometimes we didn't work. And then there's some other times like you wouldn't have to talk all day long. Like,
but you at least have books or something, right? Just nothing?
Well, maybe, yeah, but oftentimes when it gets dark, you go to sleep because you're going to run out of battery. You don't have anything to keep light with. So, you just keep busy doing stuff that you need to do. You might read a little bit. I read a little bit, but that was mostly thinking.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with, and that was one of the things that I could relate to. But, they would get up and they had different little chores that they had to attend to depending on the weather, retrieving water and gathering wood to stay warm and keep heat. And the basicness that comes along with that lifestyle is nothing like we know, because we don't. I mean, we have a furnace with a thermostat, and we got a box of Cheerios and a carton of milk. So we don't. It's it's a job all in of itself, kind of, Joel. I mean, you've got responsibilities you have to take care of just to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
One of my all-time favorite books is Bill Bryson's In a Sunburnt Country, and it has a great little lesson about survival in it. So for a long time, about parallel with trying to get to the middle of Antarctica, one of the greatest challenges was to get to the middle of Australia. And people would take horses and wagons, and they would take camels and mules, and they'd end up always eating their animals and then trying to get back to the outer edges of Australia. And for years, nobody was successful at getting into the geographical center of Australia. So this one guy made it. He had to eat some of his horses. He was near starvation, and he was just on the rim, about to drop down to this valley that was the geographic center of Australia. And he heard singing, and he goes down over the rim, and there's this tent set up, and there's two Irishmen drunk off their ass, had no clue that they were in the middle of Australia, but he was so mad.
Yeah.
That should be on the Irish Wikipedia page that you sent me, Micah. It's like discovered whiskey, and then 400 years later they did something else.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I'm sure there was Aboriginals there before, and it was probably just a matter of the way that you approached it. And sometimes accomplishing something, if you don't know that you're accomplishing it, is not nearly as hard as accomplishing something that you're trying to accomplish.
Totally. Yeah.
When was that?
Maybe what you can do if you don't know you can't do it. Think about that. Yeah.
I still can't believe if you know you're going into a situation, you're going to be out. I don't know what the other seasons were, but say you thought there's a potential I'm going to be out 45 days or greater. I'm going to take 10 things. Why is a book? Why is not Ulysses or Infinite Jest or War and Peace? Why, or even the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that not one of the 10 things that you could take? I mean, if worse comes to worse, you could burn it. But I think that controlling your I think that having something to distract yourself would be critical. Like, that's the only thing I got. The other thing I noticed about Alone is about day 42, people start getting a little loopy.
Yeah.
And,
you're malnourished and you're alone.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
And one of my favorite poets was Robert Service, Cremation to Sam McGee. And there's another one called Electricity, where two guys electrocute each other because they've been together for so long in a cabin. And like all the it's a beautiful poem about like all the tricks your mind plays on you. And I mean, it's not solitude, and I'm sure he has in like versus the Yukon. What is that? Spell of the Yukon. I'm sure there's some about isolation, but like just even two people living in a small area in isolation start doing strange things.
That's probably worse than being alone.
And that's what I was thinking. Here we are. We get into this alone. These guys made it 45 days, but think about the trappers that went to the Great Slave Lake.
Mm-hmm.
They had to trap their way in, trap their way out. That had to be 120 days, and they might not ever see anybody.
That's why rendezvous are complete chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It amazed me the close proximity that they stayed to their lodges. Like nobody really traveled very far that I could tell to go afford themselves more opportunity for trapping and hunting, which I found, you're going to burn some energy, but if you truly know what you're doing out there hunting and fishing and trapping, you're going to have more opportunity at reward, which is going to help you sustain longer. And I found that was one of the, like, why aren't you traveling out? Why aren't you trying to go create more opportunity for yourself? And there was only a couple of them that really continued work on their shelter.
Yeah.
Knowing that winter came, only a couple of them that continued to enhance their shelter, and some of them, they just stuck with a tarp and a couple poles, and I thought, you're gonna.
Yeah, that one gal that made it way to the end, she had a really nice, built like a good wall, and I was really impressed. But that's what I was thinking too. Like, man, if I wasn't hunting or drinking water, I would be pimping my shelter. Is that energy well spent? I think.
What blew my mind was not one dugout.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
And then
the dugout.
I just thought about this in this conversation, but I think the responses would be a lot different as far as their range that they'd go and that kind of stuff if it wasn't gamified. Because they gamified the show, it causes you to mitigate risk differently.
Yeah. You always had to be videoing too of what was going on. It seemed like I don't know, I'm sure there was a certain percentage of the time you had to video yourself on what you were doing.
Yeah, I think they said they wanted at least 8 hours a day. I listened to that Jordan guy's on Rogan. I think it was like 8 hours of film a day minimum. Yeah.
That would take up an awful lot of your time.
Real quick, what's a dugout? What would that
like just if you're either gonna like dig into the side of a mountain or to use the earth as part of your insulation and your shelter.
Oh, shoot, that's a good idea.
But this whole conversation, which I really enjoy, I think it gives us a good homework for next week. I want to know what everybody's 10 items would be that they would bring. Let's assume we're going back to the Arctic and not.
What are they limited to, though? I mean, obviously they couldn't take firearms.
No firearms. I think it had to be.
Is it curved bow instead of a different type of bow?
Making a compound would be a little more zippity doo dah, but they had a recurve.
Can't take a compound.
Not even a recurve.
No, they could obviously not use any modern fishing equipment other than line and hooks.
I'm guessing. That one dude kind of fashioned a pretty good reel though, and had some eyelets on his pole. He did a pretty good job.
He also made a gill net.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's gonna be some limits on it because you couldn't just say I'm gonna bring a cabin.
Well, you have to be able to pack it in. I think is the main thing. Oh. Like if I dump you off the helicopter, you have to be able to get it there.
Was there certain things that they were afforded ahead of their 10 items? Because I noticed they all had parachute cord.
First aid.
I didn't know if that was they were given a first aid kit.
First aid kit, yeah. I know that was one of the things that they got. And, of course, the radio, I think, was because I think they had to check in really every morning and night. I think they had to send a quick blast like they were still alive.
One guy took the rope, the parachute cord, I think what you were referring to, took that off of his backpack or something.
They probably
probably didn't count.
Probably had to be one of their 10 items.
The pack?
No,
I wouldn't count the pack as one of your 10 items, I would say.
No pack or clothes.
Yeah.
What we're going to pack 10 items, where are we going and what time of year is it?
Let's just recreate what this last season of Alone was. So it's going to be in the Arctic heading into September. I think it'd be easiest for us to compare.
I just think the other thing I think is damn good they filmed that when they did, because there's no way you could go to Great Slave Lake now.
Why? What?
Yeah, the name of it. That's the main reason. Yeah.
Oh.
Look, float that line out there and wait and see if anybody's going to swim by. Yeah. Oh, I got one. Yeah. So, yeah, let's just assume we're going to recreate this past season of Alone that we got to watch. And I'd just be curious.
Is there a parameter on the size of what we can carry our 10 items in, or how did they do that?
It looked like a frame pack, I guess, but I think if you could pack it, let's see what you come up with.
All right. So
let's just see. Yeah, I'd be curious. So that'll be some of our to discuss next week. I think that'll be interesting.
The fishing supplies, like, I guess my curiosity is did they limit them to the number of hooks and line they could use? Because I didn't see anybody using a trout line. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
They did limit it. Yeah, they limited it. Yeah, people brought their own wire and then brought metals. Somehow they're able to fashion like lures by themselves.
They found beer cans and stuff.
Yeah, there was all kinds of plunder that they found.
Yeah, they could use all that too. But yeah, I think they were or they got fish hooks, or they were limited to them. But yeah.
Well, if they gave me a real fishing pole and a full tackle box and
you'd still probably
pound and a half of worms,
yeah,
I'd still.
I
couldn't figure it out. I wouldn't be able to figure out how to fish.
Yeah, you would. Guarantee you.
I don't know how to do that.
You probably can't have a reel. If you can't have a compound bow, you probably can't have a reel.
No.
No, and I saw some of them using some. I shouldn't call them this, but when my dad worked for the game department, they had some fish hatcheries that where there was good steelhead fishing, but you couldn't fish there. But it was in a highly migrant worker type of an area, and so they would take beer cans, tie the line to the tab, and then they would turn over the can and wrap it, spool it around there, and they could flip that can and cast it, and they called them a Mexican graphite, and that was their, because the graphite fishing rods, and that's what they referred to them as. And that I was watching some of the ways that they were doing that. That's another good way to manufacture something to cast. But
somebody had like a piece of wood, didn't they? Kind of a cylinder that they shaved down a bit and kind of rounded on there. It looked like.
Yeah. Going back to Richard's comment on reading material, of course, everybody probably knew where they were going and was studied up on the forages and vegetation that was.
Oh, yeah.
Great. But one of the things that I would have thought of would be in some sort of botanist little handbook on vegetation that's edible and what you can and can't eat there.
Damn you! That was
something I never saw. But.
As my range nerd self, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like botanicals or weed, edibles, or there's all sorts of plants of the West or whatever you can take with to ID these things and to double check and.
And whatever's indigenous to that area,
Yeah.
So you had things that you could identify as forages.
I think if I was the producer, I'd almost give them that just to hopefully avoid somebody eating the wrong shit, or at least cut down on that. Yeah. Because that one dude ate those salmon eggs and that tore his ass up.
That was his own stupidity, I thought. But
yeah.
You got the ability to cook it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As much as I like sushi, I've got a fire and a pan. Yeah. I think I think everybody got a pan too. I think so. Don't put it.
No, they didn't. No, yeah. Jordan had to bring his own frying pan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rawley's got a frying pan. We could all sit in and sled around the fucking mountainside on. Yeah.
You could probably kill a Wolverine with it too.
Look at me, your damn shelter too, for God's sakes. Yeah, I'm just gonna turn it over and I got my shelter. Yeah.
I think he was the only one that had a honest to goodness cast iron.
Yeah.
Pan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was thinking. I'm sorry. I also combined. I watched Naked and Afraid too, because they're pretty turned loose also. So, and they all have a little cast iron pot they can boil water and stuff with.
But they give up after like 5 days, don't they?
There's one series on now. They're shooting for 40, and some people have tapped out pretty early. You can actually kick people out of your I banish you to go on your own. It's a little more high schoolish, but it's still surviving. Yeah, they got a curved bow and fishing line basically. So it's not near as demanding, I think, than the Alone is. So, but I'll be real curious to see what everybody comes up with as far as that. So. What we learned, I'll probably stick with the Alone too. I think it was just a great series. It was fun talking about, and really, I guess it reminded me that I do enjoy silence and really just letting my thoughts go, because I know what that feeling's like when the sun's going down and you've got all your chores done really, and it's almost bedtime and you just hunker down and you just hear everything, and you either comforted by that, or you're not. And luckily for me, I am. But some people are not. So probably all right.
Oh, I've got a story about the pack rat camp that I got to tell.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I was working for Jason Stewart, and Jason's probably gonna kill me if he ever watches this. But
Yeah, he can't figure out YouTube. We're safe.
there was on the allotment that he had, the Mount Emily allotment over there out of LeGrand. There was a little cabin, and the cabin was actually a Sears and Roebuck kit from like the 1930s, I believe. And it was a little 2-room shack, and the rooms were probably 8 feet by 8 feet. So it was about a 16 by 8 little log cabin looking thing. And Jason had never stayed there at that point, and he brought his little boy Jet at the time, and Jet was 6 maybe. and his uncle Donnie came up and stayed, and I don't remember if Coy was there or not. He might have been. I think he was. But anyhow, it was called the Pack Rat Camp for a reason, because like literally there were pack rats freaking everywhere. Every night you go to bed and there'd be pack rats scurrying around the walls on the outside. You just, after a while, you got used to them, kind of put you to sleep. But
yeah.
They would come and go. Well, imagine there was 4 or 5 of us in this little 8 by 8 little room with bunk beds. And I remember Jet was on top above Jason, and I think Donnie was on top above me. And poor Jet, in the middle of the night, he rolled over and fell off the bunk bed. And so he went to squalling, and Jason wasn't sleeping very good after that. Pretty quick, something was scurrying around outside, and the pack rat come up on the wall. And Jason, oh, you hear that? Like, yeah. Well, I always kept the 30-30 by the back door, or by the door. And you had to go into the little room, the kitchen area, and then the outside door. Well, on the outside of this cabin, they had an outdoor pantry where it was basically a milk crate, almost sized box on the wall with a wire screen. And you could keep, it was cool enough up there, you could keep stuff cool out there at night. Well, I heard him scurrying around. I knew that pack rat stopped on top of that little deal. Jason, I mean, I turned the flashlight, and his eyes are just bigger than saucers. He's like, what? I'll go check on it. I open the door, and I shine that flashlight, and about 4 inches from my face is this pack rat staring at me, and we're just eye to eye. And he's just looking at me, and I'm looking at him. I got the 30-30 in one hand, and I just whop! It just barreled that pack rat, and he fell off, and I'm about half awake. And so big old noisy commotion. Jason, what was that? You know, and so I took that 30-30 and I put it back in the corner. It says a pack rat, you're fine. We'll go back to bed. But when you're used to that kind of stuff, it doesn't bother you. And I always felt bad for Jason. He hated staying at the pack rat camp. Of course, he probably couldn't because I was snoring too loud. But
he's probably calling them all in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can hear that right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Oh, that leads us great into our best thing of the week. And then we'll talk about the movie coming up next and my word of the week next week. But let's talk about the best thing of the week. I'll start it off. I just had a badass week at work. It was awesome. Made some great contacts, had some great meetings, really encouraging for me, and just great to have some of the feedback and some quality people to interact with. Just love that. And then also I've been got my trailer and I've been nerding out and ordered a bunch of shit for it today for the inside of the E-Track stuff to keep it all organized and duct tape everything together. So it was fun to get that all measured out and wait for that to arrive. And I'm going to go get some more of the stuff tomorrow, but just get all that prepped and ready to go. But great week at work and great week at the home front too. And got all the few inspection items that were found for the house. I was able to handle. I can now rebuild a Delta faucet in about 3 minutes, top to bottom. So if anybody's got any questions, let me know. And it was just a good week. So it was great. I've been looking forward to seeing you guys and talking and that certainly played a role. So, Mr. Joel, you're stroking your beard with a fervor. I think you'd like to speak next.
Well, I'm just realizing how similar tell me about your week is to the best thing of the week, right? So I already did that. But I'm playing golf. So I'm gonna do something different. This next week I want to talk about Airstream trailers.
Ooh.
I want to just talk about RVs in general, but
Sure.
particularly Airstreams. I've gotten really interested in them over the last week. Kind of want to buy a pickup and an Airstream
Ooh.
and live like Matthew McConaughey. Right?
Yeah. All right.
Want to explore that idea more with you guys.
I'm digging it. That's a great topic. Yeah.
I do know one thing on Craig's
Think
list.
about maybe getting a school bus. Just gonna throw that out there. So
I saw one with a bar horse trailer just right down the street the other day.
what do you know? Yeah. So, anyways, put that in your pipe.
With the bucking bean.
Craigslist Airstreams are usually scams. Just FYI.
Okay.
That's a freaking T-shirt if I ever heard one.
Yeah, if I'm going to spend $70,000 on a trailer, I'm going to make sure that it's legit.
Probably gonna go to the source. Yeah. Richard, what are you thinking, buddy?
The highlight of our week was the kid came home today. So he's been
nice.
down south for 2 weeks. So it's nice to have the whole family unit back together. I think the dogs are glad that there's somebody else to get yelled at now. And I found the show, and I forgot how good it is. The one that has the new Rajneeshpuram on it, and it's in Iowa. So the name of the show is Off the Cuff. But there's a really good episode 2, about Green Bank, West Virginia. And it's one of the only places in the world that has, like, I want to say it's 300 square miles, no Wi-Fi, no cell service, because they have a big tower that listens to the sky, a big thing that listens for sounds from space.
Mm-hmm.
And so people that have you seen Better Call Saul?
Oh, yeah.
The brother that has the electrical thing?
Mm-hmm.
People that think that they have that affliction move to Green Bank.
Oh.
But it's like a long ways away from the place where there's jobs, and there's this whole and then the other episode that's just fascinating in this little series is called Slab City in California,
Mm-hmm.
where like there's just pure anarchy rule. And I thought it would be a lot different than what it was, and it's actually just it's fascinating. And then there's actually the whole season is fascinating. And then there's one, I think it's Kansas City, that has this huge underground salt mine, and they like run businesses out of it, and they have trucks can go in and park, and they can keep stuff cool, and just crazy.
It's Off the Cuff.
It's a cool little series, but yeah.
Interesting. Wow, look at Rawls.
That's it.
He's scratching his head on the inside. Yeah. Anything else, Richard?
Nope, that's it.
Mr. Bigsby, I'm curious to know.
Best thing of the week?
Yeah.
Kelly and my anniversary.
Oh, nice one.
Good answer.
Pretty easy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
She hasn't gone back to work yet with broken ankle and all, so she pretty much just been her and I haying. So.
Oh, cool.
Every day's kind of been I don't know, maybe too much time for her to be around with him. It's been good.
Awesome. Yeah, if things are running smooth, especially during hay, it could be really damn fun. If it's going crazy, it sucks. But if it's running smooth, I really, really love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know she goes back to work here in July. I'm not exactly positive of what date it is yet, but hopefully we'll get through the majority of first cutting. But, it's only a few days here and there. So,
yeah. Awesome. Well, that brings us to talking about what's the movie coming up for next time. I've had some time to think about this. I was back and forth between two movies that are similar. But I just decided the other day that this is the way I'm going. And after I tell you what movie we're going to talk about, I'll tell you the one I was thinking about too. But one of my favorite movies of all time, obviously, it's not going to be like the one I hate the most, but it's not very well talked about. But it's called Sometimes a Great Notion. It's Paul Newman's in it. It's actually written by Ken Kesey.
Yep.
Which is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and actually a book about Roundup. And he's from the Northwest. But it's Paul Newman, Henry Fonda, Lee Remick, and it's based in Oregon about a logging family, and the Stampers, actually.
The Stampers.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of funny to think about. I think Armageddon, wasn't it? Is his last name Stamper too?
Yes, Henry Stamper.
Yeah. So you can find it on YouTube. Actually, just plain old YouTube is where I found it. So you can just go to YouTube and type in Sometimes a Great Notion. And I think it was made in 71. But great moments, really good movie. A lot of stuff going on. I'm a huge Paul Newman fan too, his acting. And the movie that I was gonna go with until I remembered about Sometimes a Great Notion was actually HUD, which was another Paul Newman one back. It was really, really fine movie. It was a tough call which way I went.
I was thinking about that one too.
It's a great movie.
But I figured you'd hang me if I did Flesh and Bone and then HUD, because that's just too depressing.
Well, that's part of it too. Is it's like, son of a bitch. That's one reason I didn't. And then I remember searched something or saw or heard some of the music or something. I'm like, son of a bitch. Sometimes a Great Notion. So I went and found it and made sure it was somewhere everybody could get a hold of it. And yeah, it's a crazy movie. I couldn't probably make it today. Yeah.
I would suggest that everybody try and read the first chapter of the book, because it's quite possibly one of the greatest written American novels.
And honestly, Richard, I've honestly not read it. So I will.
It is it so nails Oregon, and it nails like they go down to California to rodeo. They talk about that, and the guys from the one brothers from back east. It's just amazing. It's probably one of the greatest written books in American history.
You know, I've always wanted to read it. I just never have. And I think that's exactly what I needed to hear to do that. Because I'm a fan of Ken Kesey. He's crazy.
I was diving into the rodeo book, and it's not even the same type of writing, but it's just so funny.
Yeah. It's great. I read that a long time ago. That's pretty good.
I always when we talk about Oregon, or people ask me about Oregon, I always say, well, the most famous person that ever came out of Oregon was Prefontaine, but Ken Kesey's got to be right up there.
Mm-hmm. I would say so. Yeah, and just the variety of stuff that he tapped into, I find very interesting. So
yeah, good pick.
Thank you.
Never give an inch.
Yes. Well, I think everybody's really they're gonna get something different out of it, for sure. But it's been one of I'm trying to remember the first time I saw it, and I honestly don't know when it was. I was pretty young though. I remember that, pretty damn young. But I can't.
Say the title again.
Sometimes a Great Notion.
Okay.
Henry Fonda has now made 2 movies.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true. Yeah, completely different characters too. Well, I guess similar in some ways, but yeah. So it's got something for everybody. But I'll see what everybody thinks. So
is the Indian lady in the movie?
I don't think so.
The old man sneaks off to hang out with the Indian lady.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. No.
Oh,
I don't think so. No. I'll find out. Yeah. So, but we've got some great homework for next time. I'm really curious about what everybody's 10 things are going to be. We got a really cool movie to watch over.
The 10 things that. What was that outside of clothing? I didn't see any of the literature on what they.
I didn't either, Rawls. I didn't dive too deep into it, but I would think I think basic clothing would be considered a necessity, and I wouldn't count it towards the 10.
Yeah.
I would think like boots and gloves and all that sort of thing would probably be considered basic, and then your 10 things would be above that, or at least for our case, I think we can do that for sure.
Yeah, let's even say you got to bring a coat. Don't put coat on one of your 10 things.
And I think if you get fish hooks, you should just count on it being like 6 fish hooks count as one, like a package of fish hooks.
Yeah, I would say too. Think like
All right.
bow and arrow. You know, you can have a bow and like 50 arrows, but it's still considered just one thing in my mind. That's how I'd place that. So you just have a bow and 2 arrows because it counts against your 10. I think I just put it as a unit. So
Well, you get 9 arrows.
yeah.
Is what the official show gets.
Oh, this is our show though. So
Curve bow with 9 arrows. Not that I know what a curved bow is, but
well, they make
I know the word.
There's a recurve bow.
I don't care.
I
I don't want to know.
You care if you was the only thing keeping.
Don't pollute my brain with that stupid hunting
We'll
stuff.
We'll debate the ethicity of the items at the time.
Absolutely, yeah. I was getting the ground rules all sorted out, though. I think I'd encourage creativity. How's that sound, Rawls?
Yeah. Well, with a recurve bow is not incredibly difficult to build.
Yeah. I think a recurve would be fine. Yeah.
The right vegetative resources.
You got some willows and some steam. You can build you a recurve. Yeah. Making a straight true arrow would take the most time, I think, over the recurve. But
there's a. I don't know if it's on Netflix or not. There's a series at Mountain Men, maybe. I don't even think it's on Netflix. I think it's just on general.
I think it's on History or something, isn't it?
Yeah, the History Channel. And there's a guy, an older gentleman in Montana that's a trapper and whatnot. And I know I watched an episode and he was actually building some bow and arrow. Pretty interesting to watch the way he did it and what he did.
They're laminating it and then steaming it and bending, or
yeah. He would go out and find the perfect piece of wood and then go sit down and start whittling and carving and doing this deal. But
that reminds me, this is not really related, but there was a show on History Channel with Roger Daltrey, who was the lead singer of The Who, and he would go around and talk about ancient things, and the way things used to be. And like one time he had this really fancy bow and arrow, like really old. And he pulled it the wrong direction and just snapped the ever-living crap out of it right on TV. Like, he's like, that's not going to be cheap, because like a recurve is built to bend a certain way, and he had it backwards. And so he pulled it against the grain really and just snapped it right in two. And he was just sitting there all cross-legged in the dirt. And he's just like, that's going to be expensive. Yeah. But really cracked me up. Yeah. Quite funny. So
the one last thing on Alone. You know what movie it really reminds me of? The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I was thinking about that movie the other day. That's pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Never watched that.
Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah. It's you'll be like, that son of a bitch. Yeah, it's worth watching. Yeah. Any final words from anybody else? I've really enjoyed getting a chance to talk to everybody again. We were a couple days delayed. But I think everything worked out really well. It's good. That's going to happen, folks. For those of you wondering why it's been sort of random, we've got longer days. People are trying to make a living and get things done in a certain amount of time. And we're trying to accommodate everybody's schedule. And so sometimes it's going to be a few days off from when our usual production time is. And so that's just one of those facts of life. As they say, you got to make hay when the sun shines. So, we appreciate everybody wondering where we were the past couple of days, but we'll always know we'll be here reaching out to all the reach heads. That's what I decided to call fans of the podcast, is reach heads. And so I don't know if they're going to like that or not, but we'll get over it. So anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
Reach head sounds like a drug fiction in a sci-fi movie.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sounds like a good slogan to a T-shirt.
Yes. But, well, if not, we'll get this episode wrapping up. And thank everybody again for listening and sharing. Thank you guys for I think, a really fun episode tonight. Some good conversation, some some laughs, a little bit of seriousness. I think we covered the spectrum, which is one of the goals as always. And so I think everybody had a good time, and I appreciate everybody being here.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's it. We will see you guys next time. Until then, keep on reaching for whatever makes you happy. How was that? You guys like that? That was good, I think. Yeah.
Richard, don't forget your mask.
Yes. Safety always.
Yes.